The reason I'm doing this webinar is that so many great professionals are telling me that they feel stuck about time and how it has become a hurdle that stands in the way of other goals and exciting new opportunities, and can lead to like working like at a more superficial level, saying more often no than you would really like to do, and in the end things that would be really good and really interesting to deepen your work and to grow your work and to grow your connections are not happening. So today I will give a brief introduction on time mindset, and then I will share 3 practical TimeWise tools, and we'll close out with an opportunity to ask questions. So time as a mindset, the reality check. There is no magic wand for operational overload and for scheduling conflicts and for commitments you already made and for being service minded and having a lot of heart for other people and for the work that you care about and for the needs of clients. These are givens like the weather, and there's always going to be more work than time in the technical clock time sense. And it takes a lot of navigating to optimize your decisions just every day about your time and attention. So sorry to not have that magic wand for you, but I will focus on what is within your control. And that is your relationship with time, your experience of time, and your sense of time. Time is subjective. When we build up stress or mental fatigue or feel some kind of tension or conflict, it seems we have less time available and we react more time pressured. And that is a normal human response, but it's helpful to have clarity about those dynamics. It's not time pressuring you, it's the emotional charge that you experience. So I invite you to consider time as a perception, time as an experience that you can actually regulate and change, and more boldly, seeing time as an act rather than something that bosses you around from the outside. The tools I offer will help you to experiment with this mindset. Instead of an external time management system, it's a way to learn from your own experience day to day, from the inside out. So let's go. The first tool is a somatic practice tool, the midline practice. And you can do it in sitting, or if you're comfortable to do that, you can stand up. The goal is to embody a neutral attitude about time, to keep a centered and focused presence. And it helps you to not get pushed over or pulled in by time pressure. When you regulate your nervous system, you regulate your sense of time. I'm repeating that because it's such a good thing to recognize and easy to forget. When you regulate your nervous system, you regulate your sense of time. So if you're comfortable to stand, let me see if I can do that and still be on screen. So if you're comfortable in standing, orient yourself in the room. And just first take in the room, look at your space, and then decide how you'd like to orient yourself. So maybe there's something interesting you'd like to look at, maybe looking out of the window, or maybe just not even facing the camera. That's not needed. I hope you can all hear me well. So then start with feeling your feet, both feet on the ground, feeling the contact between your feet, your socks, your shoes with the floor. And feeling the weight of your body, lean into your feet and sink into the floor. Like you can even drop just a tiny bit of tension, like you would do a big breath out. Kind of drop some extra weight into the floor and feel the support of the floor. And then now think of your left foot and then your right foot. And what we're looking for is to see how your balance is between left and right, how you distribute your weight and your attention from left to right. And an easy way to check that is to kind of sway left to right, maybe lean a little left to right. And then do that with your shoulders too. And then your head. And then let that slow down and find the midpoint where left and right are even. And then the same move front to back. So lean into your toes and feel your weight just like you would be on skis or a snowboard, surfboard. Lean a little forward and then a little bit back towards your toes. So tiny bit forward, backwards. And then check with your head. Is your head maybe, like many of us, like leaning forward, pushed forward a little bit? Or maybe it's just leaning backwards. And when I do that, I actually feel my shoulders lean backwards. Ooh, my arms drop. And then a few times rocking front to back. And let that ease and then find the midline front to back. And again, feel your feet and the even weight left to right. And then now we'll do find the midline in the vertical. So again, starting with your feet, and then feeling the crown of your head, even having a sense of the ceiling, your space and the air in between. And then lift yourself up a little bit. Reach through your head, press a little off the ground. Not intention, but just an extension where you feel a little bit taller. And then drop that a little bit, drop it down, and see if you can find that elasticity, buoyancy, like bounciness that holds us up vertically, holds us upright. And then again, between your feet and the top of your head, find a midpoint. And then now, see if you can sense your midline. And then see how that appears to you. It could be just the image of your anatomy, your structure, muscles and bones. Could also be more of a visual image of a center line. Or maybe it's a more energetic line. It depends where you're, what comes first to you, where you're most attuned. And then stay curious, it might change how that appears to you. And then now, bring some attention to your eyes. And notice you have a left eye and a right eye. And bring in a sense of the back of your eyes. We tend to kind of push our eyes forward, but let your eyes rest towards the back of your head and then let them sink down a little bit into the eye sockets. So relaxed eyes, connected to your midline. And then as a last experiment, we'll bring in our peripheral sight. So raise your arms so you can see both arms and both hands, and figure out for yourself if that means your arms are more really to your sides or a little pointing forwards. And then see how you notice your arms and hands. Are you seeing your left arm with your left eye and your right arm with your right eye? Or are you seeing it all together with both eyes, one total image? Then drop your arms. Then raise your right arm so you can see it in your periphery. And then look at it with your eyes and bring your arms your right arm in front of you, only tracking with your eyes, not moving your head, and then drop it down. Ooh. And then the same move on the left. Raise your left arm so you can see it in your periphery. Now really focus on your left hand and arm and track with your eyes as you move your arm to the center and drop it down. And then find your midline again. And this is also a good moment to notice your breath. You don't have to change anything. For me, I feel, oh, my breathing got a little more spacious. And I can feel my breathing connected to my midline. And then if you stood up, you can come back to your seat. So this was our midline practice with the intention of settling our nervous system to settle our sense of time. The next tool is called Time as the Instant, or instant time. It is more of a cognitive reframing of your sense of time and how we think of time. And the goal is to have a more creative, flexible concept of time with more option to switch gears in action. We commonly understand time as continuous, ongoing, repetitive, sliced in units of calendar and clock time. And time feels like a big ongoing train that you need to catch. And we imagine that moving on a horizontal timeline. And in contrast, French philosopher Gaston Bachelard reinvented a whole new idea of time. Instead of time as duration, he views time as instants, as made out of instants, one instant at a time and brand new. In his idea of time, time springs up and he calls it vertical time. So in this bite-sized time, every instant is a reset and you can try on something new. And whenever you run out of time, a new instant is here. You can always replenish your time and redirect your attention. And it tends to also feel like, even like a moment, in my experience, is longer than an instant. When you attune to the idea of an instant, it becomes more like popcorn or confetti. And, oh, you're out of time and here's new time. So there's many ways you can experience this. You could do it while you go on a walk and then bring in this sense of instance, but to stay where we are now and also to connect it to your work experience. What I'm going to do for 1 minute is to connect it to your experience of email. So if you have your phone handy or your email on your screen, just go to your inbox, and if not, a social media account, and if you don't have it handy, just follow and listen to what the idea is here. So looking at your inbox, is everyone there? Access to their phone or inbox? Yeah. Now, while you scan, just first take a look at your list of emails. Some words starts to catch your attention, some names, people you know. And every time you redirect your attention, it's a new instant. So scroll, new instant. And click on something, a new instant. And then pause. Decide whether you delete the message. And new instants keep popping up. You might have an impulse to even move differently, maybe stand up for a moment or swing your arms, or notice an unconventional word. Change your eye movements, like, oh, I don't have to stare at my emails all the time. Just looking at the ceiling, looking at the floor. Actually, as soon as I do that, I get some body movement. I get a twist when I'm looking side to side. That's another instant. Maybe you see an email from an unpleasant person, or something about it just catches your attention as unpleasant. And it's only an instant. And then you get to move on to the next instant. Every action can happen in a new time capsule with flexible options. And another way you can use this is to interrupt long tasks, long projects, or even long meetings where you're, whether that's online or in person, sitting for a long time. Maybe you get bored, maybe something stresses you out, or you would like to move on to something else. You can interrupt that sense of a long meeting or a long project with bringing this concept of instant time. And that's where you bring in that sense of time confetti or popcorn. You can change just for an instant where your attention is. You can change your position for an instant. You can just look at someone in the meeting, find something interesting about that. And again, another instant is happening. So what I find that when I teach this to people, for some people it's really like kind of awkward and foreign, and other people really quickly experience a sense of freedom with it, a sense of creativity, like, hey, I actually get to change my timing and my sense of time and where my attention is quicker, more flexible, when I'm not so tied to the concept of, oh, we're here for an hour, or I need to work on this all day, or we're 2 hours late and I'm just sitting here at the airport, or um, in a court hearing that starts late. So just try this new time mindset and see how that changes your sense of time at work. The third tool I'd like to offer, I'm going to share my screen, is let me first get my screen. So the third tool is about the most valuable pace. You probably all have heard of MVP, the minimum viable product, like the what still has functionality, but you don't get to perfection. So with the same letters, MVP, I switched that to most valuable pace. And this is a reflection exercise. And right now we're not going to do the reflection, but I just want to walk you through the reflection, and then you can do that later in your own time. And I will send this to you after the webinar. So the question that I'm asking, that I'm leading with, is what was a situation maybe this week in which you experienced really high time pressure? There was a crunch of time, a squeeze, like from the sides, or maybe it felt like a top-down squeeze. And to first check in, what was your pace? Were you running at a 9? Or maybe you were just crawling at a 2. And what would have been the actual most valuable pace? Instead of running to a meeting at a 9, or rushing through your emails at a 9, would have been more valuable if you would have done that at a 7. Or opposite, if you did something really slow, and maybe would it have been more valuable if you had a little more energy, a little more perkiness, a little more upbeat pace to either get it done or to just feel more excitement or connection to whatever your task was. So checking in about pace and what would be a more ideal pace. And then the second part is, what options did you have in that situation? And I already filled it in with lowering your pace, but you could also say to up your pace. So was there anything available to you that you actually had the option to do it slower? And there's, of course, some exceptional things, high urgency, high alert, where the only right pace is a 10. but more often than we think and feel. Again, that regulating your nervous system. If your nervous system like is upbeat at a 9, it doesn't mean that the task needs a 9. Maybe that task would be totally fine with a 6. And you could even get it done in the same amount of clock time, but with a better sense of energy, or maybe giving more value to the person you were working with or the project you were working on. And then moving to the bottom left, now taking this into the future, what could you do next time to pace yourself? And a few examples that I have is maybe you could take a minute between meetings. Maybe you could just take in the people in a meeting slowly. Maybe there's an extra note you would like to take. And guess what? You can ask for some extra time. Say, hey, I need a minute to think about this. I need a minute to look at something here. That just is not only a gift to yourself, but also for other people. You help other people pace down, because often we regulate, we co-regulate, and when one goes up in pace, it seems like that is needed, and that is certainly not the case. But by slowing down, that is also a gift to others. And then lastly, is there anything you could do to give yourself a pace reminder? And I know we already have enough alarms and things and reminders set, but maybe there is a body cue that works for you. Right now, what comes to me as I'm doing that's like, oh, a little squeeze in my hands feels really good. Actually brings in a little sense of strength, but also a grounding, like, oh, what's the right pace here? So I will send this to you after we finish, right after we finish. So these were the 3 tools, and I hope these are helpful for you to change your sense of time. And it will take some practice, and if they were interesting to you, I hope that you will play with them, so you can be more effective with less stress. And my biggest wish is that you can say yes to new goals and opportunities, to new things that interest you. And I will send this to the reflection to you, but also my TimeWise planner. And it's not a rigid system. It is a very simple, basic time tool that has really helped me, especially with getting the things done that always drop to the bottom of the list, like renewing the insurance, paying the taxes, things like checking in with whatever, like my wills were on that list for many years, and then I had them done, and then they were on my desk for 3 months and I hadn't downloaded them. Tasks like that, they're not urgent, but then they're never urgent, but they add up. And so the TimeWise planner has really helped me to do a little bit of that work every day. And it feels really good. And actually, it has helped me with my overall productivity instead of always focusing on the big thing of today or this week. Then a few things I want to mention about the work that I'm doing. I'm developing this method called the Insight Effect to apply it not just to time challenges, but to all kinds of professional challenges, with a focus on people in the legal profession. So think of client communication, leadership, decision-making, setting boundaries. And I'm launching a pilot program for legal professionals called Performing Under Pressure. And it is centered around the superpowers of insight, which is a whole field of problem solving that lawyers typically don't learn about because we're very focused on analytical thinking. Insight and reflection as a combination that has a big loop of learning from the inside out. And at the moment, I'm looking for just 3 people to take that pilot training for a reduced price in exchange for a testimonial. And if you think you might be interested in that, then please respond to the email that I'm sending you after this. And lastly, I have blocked time on Monday and Tuesday next week to give you extra help with anything that came up for you during this webinar, help with time management, but also dealing with difficult clients, and just stress things, or any of the tools I shared today. And there will be in, again, that email, a calendar link to book a 20-minute free consult with me. And really that is just totally, I want to help people to get a sense of what insight and reflection can do, and how that can energize your learning from the inside out, and not the next app or the next system or the next tool that feels like it takes up time and structure. So that was my part for today. And then the last few minutes are open for questions. So really any questions you have about what we did today, or anything that came up in associating with what we did and what I shared. I hear someone on mute, Femke. Yes.
Yeah. So about the nervous system technique, to me it was very calming. So what happens inside of you with this simple exercise? Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah. So first of all, it's directing your attention, your awareness to your body. And the nervous system really likes to know that you're safe. And when your attention is with your body instead of with anything out there, your nervous system gets the message, I'm with you. I'm paying attention. And if I need to do something different, like run, I'm with you. So that is part of that first calming response. And then there's a focus, like instead of having your attention scattered, it brings in a focus. So it's a kind of a guided way to focus your attention. And then the eye part is really important, because the eyes are very connected to our nervous system. And that makes total sense. Like if you imagine how fantastic our eyes are, our vision system, and how subtle and how deeply connected in our head, our brain, our entire nervous system, our entire body. They find that people in stress, a trauma response, is really a freeze in the eyes. And so like a lot of trauma release techniques, like EMDR and others, work with the eyes to bring movement, distance, and sight back in. So those are three elements of it. And then one more is that more and more research is that we don't think in our heads. We are embodied thinkers and learners, and our whole, even all our higher brain functions are very attuned to our whole body and our whole nervous system. And that's how we learn and how we can take in new information. Yeah. Ryan, yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, quick question. Well, I'm going to slow down with my question just because it's what it's about. I was going to ask about the pacing, because I find a lot of times I'm in a situation where I recognize that co-regulation thing, where it feels like there's this pressure of time. And so if the whole room kind of starts to hurry, and I can see the value in slowing down, because I know a lot of times details get missed and ideas don't get transmitted all the way. And what I'm wondering about, I guess my specific question is, if I sense that in the room, how can I act within the room? Is it really just taking care of myself, or is there things I can do simple in the short amount of time we don't have left to slow that pace down?
Yeah. So my response would first to even slow down my response to you, but in the spirit of our time, I will respond right away. But I think it's your noticing, then you taking in some details at a different pace, you changing your pace, and even showing that in your body. Like, instead of everyone is like this, it's like, if you if you have to go, please go. Thank you for being here. You showing your body, even leaning back a little bit, dropping your arms, leaning your head back a little bit. Your voice, your breathing, those are things people really pick up on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for being here. It was a joy to see you, and have a fantastic day, rest of your day.